guys, this is a Space Marine Devastator squad, and I'm raging before I even open this box. This is on the back here. I don't know what this box is, probably 20 plus pounds. One multi-melta, one missile launcher, two heavy bolters, two plasmas, two las cannons. Guys, I filled up to 15 missile launchers. So at £20 each, somebody down there can work out, if I was to buy these, how much would it cost me to get 15 missile launchers? Straight off, before I even open this box, you should be getting 5 of each, or you should be able to buy a box of 5 missile launchers, a box of 5, and a box like this. This is unbelievable. Well, it is believable because it is the guys in the masks. At least Robin Hood wore a mask, as we could say. Here we have our Uber transfer sheet. Again, we probably have loads of these. This is slightly different, being a Devastator one. But yep, in the bog standard Marine books, and we have some building instructions here for the various options. Plasma. Las cannon. Yep. Plasma. The one missile launcher. The sergeant guy here. The unit in the Marine book comes with. Here we have multi-melta guy, and this must be heavy bolter guy, is it? Yeah, this must be how to build heavy bolter guy. If I've got these wrong, guys, no doubt somebody will tell me. And your Uber bag of bases. In the bog standard Marine book, guys, the unit comes with a sergeant and 4 regular guys, and then you can have up to 5 more. So you could have a unit of 9 las, plas, heavy bolters, whatever you feel like. It really depends on who you're playing, depends on what weapons you're going to take. If I was facing a new Dark Elder, I would want all heavy bolters just for the sheer amount of shots I could get into them really soft vehicles. I know I've been needing 5s and 6s doing any damage, but they're all open tops, they're all going to die anyway. But before I get too wound up that I only get one missile launcher, I'll get on to showing you what's in the box. Here we have, this is just our sprue of bodies basically. Here we have bodies, shoulder pads, heads. Obviously again, if you're playing the likes of Space Wolves or Blood Angels, some of the armies that get their own head variations, you can give them whichever ones you want. Same again with bodies. Personally, I'd love to be able to just buy a box of Space Wolf bodies, although I have some spares what I gather up. The other side of bodies, backpack here, probably for the sergeant. We have some knives. We have some little like ammo packs here. Pistols for everybody. And some little bannery type jobby. Somebody will tell me what it is. We have a variation here then of legs. We have a separate leg here and another leg there. Now this is interesting, guys. There's some tactical cheese to be had. If a model comes with them legs, you can put them on them legs. So if I was buying 15 of these to get my 15 Space Wolves, they may all come in a crouching position. Then again, there's some tactical disadvantages with all coming in a crouching position. Then we have our bog standard legs and our standard. Personally, if it's up to me, I would be trying to use, for my Space Wolves anyway, I'd be trying to use Space Wolf bodies and legs as much as I could, and then just using the weapons. But that's ideal world where we all have no end of cash that we can buy an entire box like this to get one weapon out of it. Here we have some weapons. Now let's see how we do. Here we have our heavy bolter options. Here's the main body of the heavy bolter, the side of it, the backpack, the ammo belt. This is a heavy bolter. It looks all right, guys. I know a lot of us don't use heavy bolters because we see it's a huge expense to get a heavy bolter, like 15 points for a heavy bolter. Really, I would have nearly thought a heavy bolter should be 5 points, you know, but in the Marine book, which I would have thought would have been plenty. Here we have our las cannon. Fortunate thing is we get 2 las cannons, but guys, I don't know how much use las cannons are the way 40k is going at the minute, because it's all soft vehicles, so more lesser shots, but it's up to yourself. It's all down to what you're playing. Here we have a plasma cannon and all our plasma bits. Our other las cannon, all our las bits, his arms, his little sights and whatnot for his las cannon. The front of it. Over here again, another plasma cannon and bits for it. The other las cannon and the other heavy bolter. And on our last sprue, yes, we have our multi-multi. Is it only one multi-multi you get as well? Because this box winds me up the more I look at it. Yep, one multi-multi. So if you want to play with lots of multi-multis, I suppose in a Marine army, if you want it 3x9 multi-multi, guys, it's going to cost you a few pounds, but then we'll play Warhammer, so cash is no issue for us. We're all rolling in it. We have some of our little different upgrades bits we can put on here. Here we have our missile launcher. Again, 27 missile launchers would be great value as far as GW is concerned. And we have some of our other bit for our missile launcher and another little mounting bit here. We go over here then to some more shoulder pads, power fist. Sergeant can take power fist. Backpack with what looks like a searchlight on it. Arms. Little these may be melta bombs for the sergeant. Here's plasma pistol, bolter, and the other last of the upgrades. At least he's got a head that hasn't got a helmet on it. I'm not a huge fan of helmets. And another helmet. All in all, guys, I do complain and I do jest slightly, only slightly, that if you wanted 15 missiles, which I do want, and I would like 15 of these new missiles, it would be hideously expensive. I understand how to do this, that you can get a nice little unit that's a bit diversified, and to build these, I'm probably going to have to build one of each, a couple of las cannons, a plas, and a missile launcher probably, but everybody has their own standard. I personally think Devastators are more useful now because they're more survivable than vehicles. I'd rather have a unit of Devastators shooting at a Predator than having the Predator shooting back at the unit of Devastators, because for me the Devastators will get the Predator, they'll get the vehicle before the vehicle gets it. With wound allocation and whatnot, you can keep the weapons that are most effective to the end. So I'll get on, guys. I'll get some of these Devastator boyos built and we'll get to see what we can do with them in the second half of the video. Guys, I've got my Space Marine Devastators here and I have built a certain unit of 2 plasmas, 1 rocket, 1 las and 1 melta. There's reasons for this as I show you through it. Here's our las cannon guy. He looks alright, you know, just looking down the sights of his gun and shooting forward. Las cannons, the reason I haven't went all las cannons here is the simple fact that they're pretty much anti-vehicle. They're not so good anti-troops. Having 5 las cannons is fierce against the likes of Terminators and whatnot, but it's sort of pointless against the likes of Orcs. Is expensive as well. I think you're adding on 25 or 35 points. Something can stick in below the exact score. But having 1 to 2 in the unit for anti-vehicle jobs is fine. Next, I have 2 plasmas. Plasma cannons. This is one of my favorite little weapons. It can kill you. So I have 2 in here. The thing with having 2 of these boyos is nobody's going to deep strike and land anywhere near you, especially if they deep strike and they roll a 1 for the old wound. I'll just do a nice little 360 of them. If you deep strike and roll 1 for the old run crack, and I've got 2 plasma cannons, that's stopping them coming in anywhere near you, because the unit terminators can all of a sudden just fall over, especially if you don't have storm shields or something along them lines. The plasma cannons can take vehicles as well. Strength 7, they have 36-inch range, AP 2. They can take vehicles as well. They're more of anti-hard troops, but they will take vehicles and they have advantages. You set that on top of a vehicle, you know, you can scatter a little bit and still hit the vehicle. You can miss and still hit, where the likes of Lascan, if it misses, it misses. So the plasma cannons as well, you can do that old cheesy thing by aiming at the very edge of the vehicle and clipping a couple of guys that have just got out of the vehicle as well. So you can get 2 birds with 1 stone with one of these. So I am a fan of the plasma cannon. I have used it in my Space Wolf's army, but I've went the classic Space Wolf route of all rocket launchers, but or missile launchers. We'll get on here is our multi-melter guy. He has a certain job, but it's more of a slightly closer range job. Somebody comes flying up to you in one of them Valkyries, Vendettas, even a Storm Raven, even though it has that plated armor, it's still AP1 versus the vehicle. You normally, if something's within 12 inches of you, you're going to get the 2. You're not going to get it as often with these guys in a Devastator unit, but it is a very good, I'm just looking at this, I think I missed sticking something onto it here. It is a very good little gun, very useful guy. I don't know if it would be in my normal unit in the army. I generally go with melter guns in smaller units, but in the Marine Army, yes. And my favourite is the missile launcher. I've seen topics on the web saying, why has missile launchers become the new melter weapons? It's versatility. I've also given the missile launcher these nice little crouched down legs. This is the opposite of my guys on top of telegraph poles that are up high and get great line of sight. This guy can duck down and maybe get slightly better cover or less chance of getting shot at. The missile launcher does what it says in the tin. Strength 8, AP 3, kills regular Marines, kills vehicles, is relatively cheap. You know, in the Marine book, I think it's another 15 points. In the Marine book, it's not cheap. I think in the Space Wolf book, it's 10 points. And you can have a unit of 5 of these in the Space Wolf book for 140 points, which is, I think, great points value. If they give the Space Wolves the rules for the normal Marines that you could take 7, 8, 9 of these guys, I don't think anybody would ever face Space Wolves again. But it does do anti-vehicle. It also does anti-troops. A lot of people don't rate it, but I have seen me blast gaunts out of a building by having 5 of these guys just going blast, 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 blast the whole time, getting 20 hits and killing all the gaunts, even though they were getting a cover save. Open ground as well. Soft guys don't like this. Vehicles don't like it. And in the Marine Army, I would favour plasma cannons with the 2 exceptions. I would say they're the best of the weapons with the 2 exceptions. The one, they may kill you, which is a huge exception. But the second one, it's just that slightly shorter range and not as strong in the armor penetration value. But we all have our own favourites, guys. I didn't bother to build a sergeant here because I think if you pay whatever huge amount this box costs, I would just pick a regular guy out of my army that I'm not using. We all have spare Marines, and even if you have a spare body, stick the sergeant bits onto them. But here, I think this box set isn't as terrible as what I made out previously, but your problem is, if like me and you want all these guys and a couple of las cannons, you're going to struggle. You're going to have to start swapping with your mates, and if your mates realise, if your mates prefer rocket launchers as well, or missile launchers as well, then it's hard, you know, because I know one of the guys here in the site was looking a couple of extra las cannon guys, and I offered to swap my las cannon for his missile guys, and they wouldn't give them to me. So it is hard, but this is my unit. I should have built a sergeant, but I'm not going to waste building an extra one of these guys for the sake of getting a sergeant in there. I will just use a regular guy. A sergeant can't take one of these big weapons. He's got his own upgrades. He can have a power fist and a signum and the usual upgrades, but he can't take one of the useful weapons, which you would say is almost a bit daft, wouldn't you? You know, the signum giving somebody +1 BS is handy. You know, you can make cases for everybody having it, from the multi-melta having it for somebody being up close to you and you really wanting it to hit, to the las cannon having it something quite long range but being a vehicle and you really want it to hit. But useful unit, guys. They have come back. The death of vehicles, these guys will deal with a predator before a predator deals with these guys. If you don't agree with me, stick it below, but then, do I care? Stick some comments in, guys. I'll get on. I'll not criticize anybody any longer, and they are useful.